Hello and welcome to this presentation covering the role of the Equity Release Advisor. I'm Phil Dockerill and I act as a compliance supervisor in later life lending for a couple of networks and some directly authorised firms. In that capacity, I design advice standards, train advisors, carry out observations and approve advice files prior to presentation. Historically, I've also run workshops in effective complaints handling and I deal with complaints for one of the networks. New equity release advisors are often unaware of the scope of their role. With later life clients, advisors are expected to go significantly beyond accepting the objective and providing what they believe to be the cheapest solution. Their role should encompass holistic financial planning within the scope of their permissions and include referrals for advice such as IHT planning where relevant. In this presentation, we'll cover the range of subjects that fall into this arena. To make the point, I'll be referring to later life advice and later life advisors to demonstrate the breadth of the advisor's role, rather than falling back on the title Equity Release Advisor. Let's take a look at the agenda. Before looking at the customer-facing aspects of the job, we'll consider what the FCA and Equity Release Council considers to be relevant to the role. We'll then look at the advisor's responsibility for protecting the client in the short and the longer term by assessing vulnerability and the client's ability to manage their budget immediately and in the future. There are often third parties who could be affected by our recommendations. They might be beneficiaries or other residents, and it's important client views on their situations are considered. Having set the scene for our advice, we can talk about evaluating client objectives and how to ensure the client ends up with the correct solution. We'll consider the other critical aspects of later life advice, which relate to dealing with support for the customer and passing on their estate. And finally, we'll look at the advisor's responsibility for communicating effectively to ensure that clients are able to make an informed decision about their future. Before launching into the presentation proper, I want to take a minute to establish a couple of different types of objective that could affect our advice.